Is it too soon still on the Tannehill stuff? Is it too soon?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it's
you give a guy 9 figures, you'd think he'd win a playoff game.
Did you start the whole Rodgers is buying a house in Nashville rumor?
I didn't start that,
okay.
No, and I never picked it up and ran with it either, because I just thought, like, he had reportedly been building that house like months ago before the news even broke. So it's like, you know what? Nashville's a fun place to live. Of course, people want to come down here and live. I don't think it's tied to him joining the Tennessee Titans or anything like that. We're just reaching here, guys.
He's starting a podcast with Jay Cutler.
Yeah.
Yeah, first off, I already started it. I just wanted to put you on the opening spot there of Tannehill. I love it. But welcome everybody to the Super Bowl Sunday sports prop show, bet show, whatever you want to call it. I don't even remember what I was going to call it, but we'll just call it that. This morning, it is Super Bowl Sunday. I'm super excited. One of our favorite times of the year. We sit down, we overeat, which, I mean, that's really just about any other day of the week. But we overeat. But we engulf, enjoy some football, and then today we're going to, I'm joined by two people. We're going to throw some bets out there. We've got a lot of them, so enjoy the ride. We've got some tame bets, I'll call them, and then we have some crazy wild ones. If you look at sports books everywhere, guys, they've got bets. Like, it's overwhelming how many bets they have. Like, just looking at it, I was just like, this is just like, holy cow, how am I going to temper the expectations from these? But I am joined by my good friend, Chris Clarkson. How are you, buddy?
Good, man. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm ready to eat, but it's like, I don't know, 6 more hours.
We've got a few hours left to go.
Stoney, it's first time. I forgot that you were on the draft show. Completely forgot it. Blanked. I was like, man, this is our first show. I was thinking about it all morning, and then now you reminded me that you were on the draft show with me. But welcome. We've been meaning to do this again. Welcome to the show.
Happy to be here, Ricky. If anybody wants to see my live reaction to the Isaiah Wilson draft pick a couple of years ago, you can go back and fire up that show. I think it felt like a gut punch then, and then everybody was talking to me like I was crazy, and I feel like I got the last laugh. I think I was very well justified in being upset with that pick in hindsight.
I don't really know what to say about that. It was a rough pick. You hated it, and then it turned out to be right, and then they went on to do great things this year, but I'm going to leave it at that for now. So you don't leave the show quite yet, but
I'll just tell you to take a hike in a much less family-friendly Sunday morning version.
Exactly. All right, folks, we're going to take you to the Church of Betting this morning. So basically what I want everybody first, I want everybody's thoughts on the game. Who do you think is going to win, and give me just a final score in your head. And I'll start you off with you, Stoney.
Man, this matchup really makes me nervous, and you and I kind of talked about it in the DMs this week. Like, I feel like if you dive into the individual matchups of this game, it is so overwhelmingly in favor of the Los Angeles Rams. But we saw that against the Kansas City Chiefs. We saw that against the Tennessee Titans. Like, this Bengals team just keeps winning these games regardless. It's a second-half football team. You get a little bit of that Joe Burrow magic, and you never know what can really happen. But I'm high on the Rams in this one. I actually think that if you look at the way this number has been bet this week, it's like not a whole lot of movement either way. And that point total sitting at 48.5 right now kind of seems like too easy of money on the over there. So it makes me think that the sharps are pulling the Jedi mind trick on us, and that this is going to be like a blowout where the Rams win like 31-10 or something like that. I don't know if I'm comfortable making that prediction, but I could see something along the lines of like a 35-21 type of game.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm scared too, and I'll pick it up here. Like that line has been. I think it started at 4.5 and then went down to 4, and even went down to 3.5 for a minute. Yeah. And then it's back up to 4 again. I think the guy threw that $5 million on him early in the week. Then it just fluctuated that line to 3.5, and then he threw another $5 million because it was 4.5 yesterday. Now it's back down to 4. So maybe he's fluctuating the bet here. But it's crazy to me because you're right. The Bengals, they should. I don't even understand how they're still here. Like I had the Bengals. Either. I had them getting blown out by the Chiefs. I did have them beating the Titans because Ryan Tannehill sucks. But I really just, obviously outside of that, I really feel like the Rams, the key of the game is obviously protecting Joe Burrow. Because if the Titans have a good front four, so if they're able to get pressure that way, the Rams should blow them out. They should. This should be. But then it's like, I felt that way a lot this year. And then just the Bengals still have lingered. I mean, Joe Burrow is playing out of his mind. But the key of the game for me is the Rams playing 4 quarters of football, and they haven't done it in a very long time in this season. Like down the stretch, Stafford had 8 picks after having a very good, first, 10, 11 games of the season. And they've struggled the last 2 games. Last week, they struggled in the first half. Second half, they came back and they won the game, obviously. The week before that, they almost blew the lead to the Bucs. So that to me was another thing that was kind of crazy. So I personally, I have it like 30-17, you know what I mean, in that 28-17 range. So to me, I look at it that way as well, and I see the Rams do win this game. But then I look forward to like tweeting later tonight, oh my God, Joe Burrow's MVP. Like what the hell happened? So I don't know.
Yeah, I think the key for the Bengals is going to be kind of attacking the middle of the field, because that's the one area of weakness that I feel like this Rams secondary has. This is going to be the best pass defense the Bengals may have played all season long. And the Rams are really good at defending 3 wide receiver sets. The Bengals love to line up in 3 wide receiver sets. They love to line up in empty sets and just get the ball to Jamar Chase quickly. There's a chess match there between Jamar Chase and Jalen Ramsey, how they kind of pair those guys up. So I think a lot is going to have to happen for the Bengals to win this game, because like I said, in my book, so many of the matchups favor the Los Angeles Rams today.
Yeah, I agree. I think the key to the game for me is Odell Beckham Jr. and what they can do with him. I think Kupp's going to get his, and that's fine, right? Kupp's going to get his regardless, apparently. It doesn't matter. He somehow manages to find himself wide open consistently in this playoffs. I don't understand it. But for me, I think Odell's the really key of this game, and I think that he has a chance to really stand out in this game. Chris, thoughts on the game overall?
No, I agree with a lot of what you guys have said. I'm going to go the exact opposite, but I think the Bengals keep it close. Obviously, we saw last week or 2 weeks ago against the Chiefs that they can score points in a hurry. One of the keys for me, I think, is how much do they use pre-snap motion with Jamar Chase? If they can keep him moving and get him open in space, and Joe Burrow can get the ball out around that 2.2, 2.3 second mark and not let that pass rush affect him as much, I think the Bengals have a really good shot at winning the game. If they can, because we know that the offensive line of the Bengals is not going to be able to contain Von Miller and Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd, all those guys that the Bengals or the Rams have in the front 7. But if they can neutralize that with some quick throws early in the game, maybe a couple screens to Joe Mixon and to Samaje Perine early in the game, and kind of make them sit back a little bit, I think the Bengals actually have a really good shot at keeping it close.
I think, and the keys for both teams is a run game. Like who can run the ball better between the two teams, I think is going to be a factor. I think because the Chiefs started out the game last week, they were gashing them. It was the same thing with the Titans. The Titans gashed the Bengals 3 straight runs, and then they were like, oh, let's just throw the ball, and then it was intercepted. It was like, what? Like, if you get ahead, I don't understand the method of some of these NFL teams. Like, if you successfully run the football, it really opens up your offense. And that's the thing. So, the play action could be a factor here. I do think the Rams have Darrell Henderson could be a sneaky play here because he's back. And he's probably the best running back they have. I like Cam Akers, but he's still wet behind the ears. He's still coming off an injury that he should not have come back from this year. I don't know what his body's made of, but it's not made the same as mine. But Stoney Michel, they did not run the ball well last week. They ran the ball terrible. I think Michel averaged 1.6 a carry. And then Akers didn't do much better. And then, of course, the week before, Akers, fumbled the ball a lot. Henderson has been a very good back in this offense, and I think that he's a good change of pace back. I think they'll ride the hot hand, which is terrifying if you're looking at a betting perspective. But there's a lot of bets there that you can really hone in on, because if Henderson gets hot, then obviously Michel's under and Akers under all come into play there. And then, of course, if they don't, then it's back and forth. But it's a 300 monster there. And the there's a lot of weapons across the board here that it's kind of scary. And if you look at the offensive side of things, you have a Boyd who has not really been a huge factor in the playoffs like Higgins and Chase have been, but he's also a guy that wouldn't surprise me that goes out there and goes crazy. Another name that I really like today, Van Jefferson. He's been kind of absent in this playoff. And with Higbee out, right? Higbee's out today. And I know, what is it? His name's Blanton, I think it is, right?
Kendall Blanton, yeah.
Blanton played well last week when Higbee went down. So I really feel like between those two, it's really like that's some key factors on both sides of the ball that I think that we could see moving into the game here. Let's see here. I'm going to pull up. We got a couple bets that I asked the gentleman to send me prior to the show, and then we're going to go over some other bets later. But I'm going to have these guys go over these bets first. And Stoney, you are first on the spreadsheet. What do you got for us, man?
Yeah, so the Burrow number, 1.5 touchdown passes. Like I don't mean to sound so pessimistic about the Rams, but I just think that a little bit of that Burrow magic that we've seen is going to be the Bengals' best chance at winning this game. He has 4 touchdowns this postseason. I think if they're going to win this game, it's going to be because of him and a high volume of throws. I like the secondary guys for the Bengals offense. I think they will be committed to getting Jamar Chase the ball in space, but I think it could be the lesser-known guys. I like Tyler Boyd a lot in this game as well. Like you mentioned, Ricky, I like T. Higgins a lot in this game. So I'm taking that Burrow getting at least 2 touchdowns there. Do you want me to keep moving?
Well. Yeah, keep going. Yeah, you can go run them down, yeah.
Okay, Joe Mixon, under 60.5 rushing yards. Mixon's averaging 63.3 yards per game in the postseason so far. He had 88 yards against the Chiefs, but he posted just 54 against the Titans and their stout defensive front. Don't look now, but here comes maybe the best defensive front in all of football. Meanwhile, the Rams have held opposing rushers to around 61.3 yards per game this postseason. I don't think this is going to be an easy defense for the Bengals to run on. I think Mixon could be a factor, right? He's good at catching the ball, really soft hands. They like to get him out on the perimeter and into space. But I think if he is a factor, it is going to be catching the ball. I don't think he's going to be a factor rushing the ball. T. Higgins, over 5.5 receptions. This one's kind of easy, like I alluded to earlier. I think Jamar Chase is going to get a ton of attention from this Rams defense. And as I mentioned before, the one weakness they do have is over the middle at the safety position where they're kind of hurting right now. So I think you look at a guy like T. Higgins. I don't need to remind Titans fans how lethal T. Higgins is on an in-breaking route. So I can see them really leaning on a guy like Higgins in this game, those quick cuts in, that sort of thing. Van Jefferson, you mentioned earlier, I'm high on him as well. This is the Super Bowl, baby. This is when you open up the entirety of your playbook. You're not holding anything back. We know they're going to want to feed Cooper Kupp. They're going to want to target Odell Beckham Jr. He's got a ton of targets this postseason and through the end of the season. So I think it opens it up for a guy like Van Jefferson to kind of sneak through. My hot take on this prop is that Van Jefferson actually hits this over on one single catch. I think there's going to be one big play that they go to Jefferson. Jesse Bates, over 5.5 tackles. I think this might be my favorite bet prop of the Super Bowl. I like Bates. I think he's one of the most perennially underrated safeties in the NFL. This guy just has a knack for being around the ball. And when you're talking about facing a team with the volume of passes that the Rams have, I think it bodes well for a ball-hawking safety that seems to always put himself around the plate. He averaged 5.6 tackles per game against top 10 teams in pass attempts. So teams that like to pass the ball, talking regular and postseason combined here, he's averaging 5.6 tackles per game, and he had 5 games with 8+ tackles. I think this is going to be a big Jesse Bates game. And then lastly, I mean, stone cold Evan McPherson, like how can you not have faith in this guy? Like, you're asking for 2 field goals and 2 extra points to hit this over. I think that's just I don't know why this number is sitting at 7.5 myself, but that's it as far as my favorite bets go.
Yeah, I was looking at some of the you said McPherson's number is way too low. Like that number should be easily 8.5. Like because 8.5 is a lot harder to hit than 7.5. You know what I mean? Sure. It really is like big time. And that's the thing. And I like the Jefferson one. So whenever I didn't recognize Jefferson's number was at 33.5 until you sent this to me. And I was like, holy cow, like he could end up with one catch for 40 yards.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And it smashes. You know what I'm saying? And with Higbee out, people forget Higbee being out really favors them opening up the offense to another receiver. Obviously, like I said, Blanton's in the picture, but they're going to have to utilize the offense in some other way. So, and Mixon, to me, I think that number's way too high. 60. I understand why. I mean, he did come off a big game last week, but he has not ran really well this entire playoff. But I do factor in a lot of his playing ability comes from that pass catching. So, and the Burrow 1.5 touchdowns, man, it scares the shit out of me. Like, it's just, I don't know. Everything about I can see a volume in yardage. I can see a volume in pass completions, pass attempts. But anything about Burrow scares me. And then he'll just go out there and throw 5 of them just to shut me up. I don't know, man. All right, Clarkson, hit us, man. Even though you stole that top 2 from me, it's all right, though. I'll allow it.
Yeah. No, I think OBJ comes out and shows out today. We all know Kupp's going to get his, but ever since he got traded from the Browns, Odell Beckham has become more and more of a big piece of this offense. He's hit this number on the receiving yards the past 2 games and absolutely went off last week, over 100 yards receiving. So I think he covers 62.5 pretty easily. He only had about 59, I think, 50, 60, something like that against the Cardinals. But the last 2 games, he's really, really gone off. He's only got 1 touchdown in the postseason. That was more touchdowns than he had with all of the Browns, though. I think he's just going to get a lot of targets. I think the Bengals are going to try and take Kupp out of the game, but that's just not going to happen. P. Ryan, over 9.5 receiving yards, just like against the Chiefs. You get into a long 3rd down situation. I think P. Ryan comes in and takes a screen pass or something, maybe for 10, 15 yards to get a big first down. I think he's a shifty back. He's a good change of pace back to Mixon. I love this prop, and I think he's going to hit that pretty easily. Missed field goal, extra point. I got that. I saw this at plus 110. Matt Gay is not a very consistent kicker. McPherson has been, lights out in the postseason, obviously. He had the comment to Burrow against the Titans that he said, we're going to the AFC Championship, I guess. But I just think Matt Gay is really, really inconsistent as a kicker. I think he might come out and miss his first extra point or miss his first field goal just because of the pressure of the Super Bowl with him. He was very inconsistent at the beginning of the season, but, I think he's going to miss something pretty easily. Tied again after 0-0. You could hit this in the first quarter. It could come out and be 7-7 or 3-3 pretty easily. It's minus odds right now, but I think it's pretty easy prop to hit. Any punt to be a touchback. I actually stole this one from our friend Alan over at Early Edge. Ricky, I love it. It's plus 240 right now. A lot of punters try and go out and you're on the 45, 50-yard line. They try and bang one in within 5 yards. Coffee type thing. We all remember playing that in Madden, like 04, to try and get your punter rank up. But I think one punt from Zach Taylor, he's on the 40-yard line and punting, and it soars in the end zone. Yeah. And then the opening kickoff to be a touchback, I've got this at minus 110. I think it's like 27 of the last 29 Super Bowls or something like that, where the opening kickoff has not been a touchback. Could mean that it's due to be a touchback, sure, but I just think the overwhelming odds, especially with it being, so close to even money, you're just going to hit pretty easily on this.
Yeah, I like that as well. Like the one, it's the Odell one's easy. The missed field goal extra point, that seems like a no-brainer to me. It really does. Like I personally feel like this could be a McPherson miss just because it's going to be like, we're going to hear all, I just really hope that it hits the uprights. I'm not going to kidding, but that's just because I have a free bet that I have a bet out there. It's like plus, I don't remember how much it is, but it's like plus 1,000, plus 800, where if an extra point hits or a field goal at extra point hits the uprights, I cash out like $45. So I'll take it, obviously, but it's just going to be one of those games. P. Ryan's number at 9.5 seems ridiculous. I think that's an easy over. I like it a lot as well. Going over my bets, obviously, as you can see on mine, I got the over on Odell. I love Odell to score in this game. I like Odell to score the first touchdown too. And I think that it correlates with 3 bets here. I think that Odell over the touchdown hits pretty well. Stafford first quarter touchdown, and then yards of the first touchdown pass of Stafford over 10.5 yards. I think those all go together pretty well. I do think that the Rams are going to come out and have, obviously, and of course, Rams over 0.5 touchdowns in the first quarter. There's a trend there, folks. There's a trend, okay? All those bets go together. Stafford first quarter touchdown, yards of his first touchdown over 10.5 yards. Odell Beckham Jr. scores a touchdown. I think that's going to happen. I don't know if that's going to be the first touchdown, but I do have money on him to score the first touchdown. Bengals over 0.5 fourth down conversions. That's a no-brainer to me. I personally, I'm betting the game how I feel like it's going to play out, and I really feel like they're going to have to go for it on fourth down a lot because they're going to be playing from behind. Bengals second half plus 2.5. I think it's up to 3.5 or 3 now. And I really like that number. I think they're going to be playing from behind. I think a lot of their points will come in the second half. I still think they're going to lose. But regardless, I think that number is pretty solid. Joe Burrow, second quarter touchdown. I like that one as well. The Bengals have scored a second quarter touchdown in, I think, 2 of their last 3 playoff games. I love that one. And then I think that's all of them, I think, right? Boom, 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 boom. Yes. So there's a lot of correlation in my bets, and I'll pass it to you, Stoney, as well, and Chris. Like, a lot of my bets trying to correlate with how I feel like the game's going to play out, right?
Yeah, same here. And you talk about like a lot of the receiving kind of prop bets that I'm going with, and the Jesse Bates tackling is kind of predicated on the Rams being able to play their game, right? They're going to throw the ball down the field, and the Bengals, in order to stay competitive in this game, they're going to have to attack the middle of the field, and what gives them the best chance to do that. Guys like T. Higgins. I like Tyler Boyd a lot in this game as well. And then the Joe Burrow over 1.5 passing touchdowns as well. I think, that's kind of how I see the game playing out. I think we've seen these Bengals get down early, right? I feel like the Rams are capable of getting up to an early lead, and then the Bengals chase. And I feel like today's not going to be any different.
Yeah.
No, I think a couple of the kicking props that I picked out are going to be predicated on how conservative Zach Taylor is going to be when he gets down early. I don't think it's a if. I think Stoney is right that the Bengals are going to be down, and it depends if the Rams come out, lose the toss, win the toss, whatever, get the ball first and score. And then the Bengals get into Rams territory on the 45, 40-yard line, something like that. They've got a 4th and 5, 4th and 3, something. Does Zach Taylor have the balls to go for it there in the first quarter when they're down 7-0? And if he doesn't, then and they go out and punt, I think that's a pretty good chance that you could have a touchback right there on a punt and hit that pretty early. I think McPherson a lot too with long field goals. So if they're in that 30 to 35-yard range, maybe even out to the 40 on their first drive, he might send McPherson out there, and McPherson, might bang it, but he could also miss that kick pretty easily. So like I said, I think those kicking props really depend on how aggressive Zach Taylor is early. Because I think, like Ricky said, I think if these bets are going to hit, it's probably going to be the Bengals that do it.
Yeah, and that's the thing for me is looking at it. It's I understand you have an automatic 3 points. The way the playoffs have played out for the Bengals, right? But you're not going to beat the Rams with 3 points. You're going to have to attempt, if you're at the 30, 35-yard line, and if it's 4th and 3, you've got to go for it. Like, you're going to have to get rid of that kind of conservative approach that he's kind of had. And that to me is kind of worrisome in the grand scheme of things. Like, I feel like some of their success has been in spite of Zach Taylor. You know what I mean? Like, he's had a great season, and I think that he deserves some of the credit, but I also feel like there's just something about Joe Burrow that just really I remember watching him play Texas, and that it was like one of the first games of the season that year. I watched that game and I tweeted out, I said, this guy's going to win the Heisman. This was prior to us being able to bet in this state, which I really wish, because the odds were insane. I know somebody that made a killing off that, but Joe Burrow since then has just been absurd, and they're playing out of their mind, which again is scary because then I feel like we're gonna have a blowout and this Super Bowl is gonna be boring, and I don't want a boring Super Bowl, guys, even though I feel like it might be. All right, so we have a lot of other bets that we like. I'm just gonna go around. Stoney, you kick us off. Just give us one. We'll kind of go around and give each one, and until we kind of run out or we just have some fun here.
Yeah, I've got 3 that I feel like are just absolutely insane that I almost didn't even want to actually make public and write about and talk about this week. But part of this, if you guys can sense it from just hearing me talk about this game so far, part of it is a gut feeling that this could turn into an LA blowout. And so I'm looking at the alternate spread, Rams by 20.5 at plus 500, thinking, man, they could easily win this game by 3 touchdowns. There's so many ways that the Rams can win this game, right? On defense, I talked about their ability to defend 3 wide receiver sets and these empty sets that the Bengals like to run. On offense, the Bengals have shown they like to rush 3, drop 8, which means with this Rams potentially 3-headed backfield could run wild all over the Bengals this afternoon. There's so many ways you can break down this game, and they favor the Rams. And I feel like this one could end up running away from the Bengals in the back half. So there's a part of me that's looking at that 20.5, 3 touchdowns to cover, plus 500. Why not?
Yeah, like if you sprinkle, you don't have to, we're not saying bet the house on it. We're sprinkle a little something. Some of these crazy bets that we're going to mention, you just sprinkle a little something. Like one of the ones that I like, sack on the first play, plus 2,500. If the Bengals get the ball, like that's a sprinkle. Like we're just sprinkle a little bit. You know what I mean?
What you do is you bankroll with the bets we talked about earlier.
Exactly.
And then you have some fun. You go for your big. They're like scratch offs. You know, you buy one for $1 and win 100 kind of deal. That's what we're talking about here.
Exactly. Chris, give us one of the ones you like.
Actually, a couple of them that actually go hand in hand with this was a few of the ones that you've already mentioned. First sack, Aaron Donald plus 350. Just it sounds too easy to not bet. The interior of that Bengals offensive line is just it's garbage. I mean, you saw what the Titans did to him. Aaron Donald is 10 times a player that Jeffrey Simmons or Montez Sweat is, or no, not Montez Sweat. Whatever. Aaron Donald is going to come out and he's the best defensive player in football, and he's going to come out and just tear that offensive line up. One other one that I like a lot, and it's because Cooper Kupp is going to be, he lines out wide every once in a while, but he plays out of the slot a lot too and goes to the middle of the field, is a Mike Hilton pick at plus 600. Stafford and Burrow, one of them is going to come out and throw a pick early, I think, and Stafford's just going to be tossing the ball all over the place.
Doesn't he always? He's
very, very turnover prone, obviously, and I think that Mike Hilton pick is going to be the one that hits.
Another one that I really like, and I think to me this is such a no-brainer that it scares me, right? It's only at plus 110, but OBJ, Van Jefferson, more yards than Higgins and Boyd. I really, really like that bet. And obviously it correlates with the idea I think Odell has a big game. And like Stoney mentioned it perfectly, Van Jefferson does not need to have 5 catches. He doesn't. He'll literally could have 1 catch for 40 yards. And that alone will help any prop that you have on that man and anything that you're kind of correlating with that team. I like it a lot, man. And I think OBJ hits 100 yards today easily. So Higgins is scary because Higgins is really, really, really good. And I think that he's been an underrated factor of this offense that not a lot of people want to talk about because you do have the glory of Chase there. But I like that one a lot. Stoney, what else you like, man?
So I like a Rams defensive special teams touchdown in this game.
Yes.
How much the Bengals are just going to be lobbing it up to those wide receivers. This is plus 600. I'm taking a flyer on it. Jalen Ramsey, if you look at the numbers, he hasn't been the great elite corner he's known to be in terms of just locking guys down this season, right? He's allowed some yardage. He's allowed a few touchdowns, but I don't think Burrow is going to hesitate to try to throw into a tight window. We've seen him do that a lot. He just lobs it up. You heard him in the press conference after Kansas City saying, you know, the meme, right? F it, Jamar's down there somewhere. He will do that. And if Jalen Ramsey gets the ball in his hands, suddenly he is a wide receiver playing cornerback. And so I like the odds on it. Plus 600. The Bengals run those empty sets. They try to get the ball out quickly. The Rams are good against the pass. They can generate a pass rush so that Burrow is going to just like default to his guys on some of these throws. I think there's a good opportunity. Or like you talked about, this defensive front being relentless in their pressure. You could easily see a strip sack, a scoop and score, that sort of thing. I'm kind of in on this one.
So look, I love you mentioned that because I'll follow that up. I have it down. I have sprinkled a little bit on the Rams defense to score the first touchdown and the Rams defense to score the last touchdown at plus 2,800.
We're getting spicy now. I love it.
I do. Again, like I said, we're just sprinkling here, folks. But I exactly like you said though, because Burrow likes to take a risk. Both of these quarterbacks do, right? You know what I mean? But I think that you're right. We haven't seen Ramsey play his best game, which is scary because he's still one of the best cornerbacks in football. You know what I mean? The Mike Evans touchdown, that doesn't always happen. You know what I mean? And Mike Evans is a damn good receiver. You know what I mean? So he just got burnt, and he can get burnt. You know what I mean? But they don't really – how they score their touchdowns isn't really like how they score – they spread the field. A lot of it's kind of short 15, 20 yards, and then, he lets his receivers do the rest. And that's a lot of what I think makes that Bengals team successful. But – plus 2,800, first and last to score, but I also love them to score it all. Like I've got a little bit of everything across that. It's just, again, a sprinkle is a sprinkle. You know what I mean? I like it a whole lot. So, Clarkson?
I had this in the back of my head, and you two talking about them just, brought it to the forefront. I remember seeing this the other day. It's DraftKings has a prop on the fastest ball carrier. Van Jefferson is at plus 330 right now on that.
Ooh.
I think he's got the second shortest odds for fastest ball carrier after Jamar Chase. Man, Van Jefferson can absolutely fly. If he gets the ball in space, he could hit that easily.
Yeah, the more we talk about Van Jefferson, the more that plus 1,800 to first touchdown is really looking a lot sexier. I'm just going to throw that out there. A touchdown at all. I mean, again, we're just sprinkling. We're dabbling here. Let's see here. I like another one. I like this one. Will there be a flea flicker? It's only plus 325. Look, again, Stoney mentioned it earlier. It's the Super Bowl. We pull out all the stops. We pull all the crazy plays out. You're going to it's again, I like it a lot. What else you got for us, Stoney?
Okay, my last one. I've got my cracked out parlay of the game. Ooh. I'm going to share with you guys. I'm going anytime touchdown scores for Odell Beckham Jr. You guys are right on him. I think he's going to have a big game today. The Rams defense, special teams, Tyler Boyd, and Jamar Chase. I'm going Van Jefferson with the over 33.5 yards, Mixon under 60.5 yards, Samaje Perine over 2.5 rushing yards, an important distinction there, because I do think Mixon will get bottled up and they'll try to figure out a way to creatively run the ball to kind of keep pace with the Rams. That parlay would pay $5,911.41 on a $10 bet, according to FanDuel's current odds. So let's get weird.
I love it. I love it. Clarkson, I know you've got a parlay for us.
Yeah, I've got a same game parlay too. It's not as cracked out as Stoney's. It's only 1,000 on DK, but it's Cooper Kupp, anytime touchdown score. Bengals plus 4.5. Joe Burrow alternate over 230 passing yards. Matt Stafford alternate over 250 passing yards. You've got Kupp over 90 receiving yards. Jamar Chase over 64.5 receiving yards. And then you've got the under 79.5 Cam Akers rushing yards and over 44.5 rushing yards for Joe Mixon. So that one's sitting at plus 1,000 right now. I took on the receiving yards and the rushing yards. Obviously, I took some of the lower tier ones just to get, to keep it reasonable. But you put 8 picks down on a same game parlay, you're going to get some pretty good odds on it.
At that point, you're just kind of, again, we're just throwing some odds out here to kind of wish. I will say this before I kind of end with my two of my last bets here before we dive into the last question. I wish we could bet some of the same shit across all sports books, okay? It's really annoying, okay? I don't want to have 4 different sports books open. I have dwindled it down to 1 after an entire season of trying to bet on 2, almost sometimes 3, maybe 4. But like I can't bet Stoney's same game parlay on DraftKings, and it's really upsetting.
Oh,
so
bummer.
If it hits, I'm gonna.
Which bet is it?
It won't let me do the Rams touchdown, defense touchdown, and it won't let me do the rushing prop for P. Ryan. So I'm really upset right now. Just gonna throw that out there while I'm at it. Okay, I'm throwing it out there. Okay, so a few bets I like. Again, this goes off of my correlation of how I believe this ball game lays out and how I feel like the end of the score is going to be. So with that being said, I'm going with the correct score bet. Okay,
Ooh, nice.
All right, so you got the Rams Bengals, like I said, 30-17 pays out plus 15,000, and then Rams Bengals 27-17 plus 11,000. So I really like those two. And if you think it's going to be close, I got 30-23 Rams over Bengals plus 25,000. So again, you could put 10 cents on it and win $25. You know what I mean? Like, again, it's a scratch off. It's a lot of, if you put 10 cents on all the bets that those big plus 25,000, all I got to do is hit 1, and we're just having fun here. You know what I'm saying? So I really like those.
We're all following those sports books on Twitter where they all put out the like that plus 100,000 like AFC NFC Championship correct score bet that would hit. It only takes 1, man.
Well, it's crazy. I would like to see that guy's entire betting slip because I'm pretty positive that guy had probably bet 20 different exact scores. You know what I mean? We're over here betting nickels and dimes, and this guy's over here who can? I think didn't he put like $50 on it?
Something like that.
I thought it was like 100. I thought he dropped a buck on
it.
Yeah,
exactly.
$1,000 or some shit like that.
Yeah, like I mean, he had like if you're throwing $100 on an exact score bet parlay, $100 probably isn't a whole lot. It's just like the guy that bet $10 million now on the Bengals to win this game. Like, you know what I mean? Like. He lost last year too, right? He lost the money last because I think he bet the Chiefs or something last year. I don't remember, but this guy has – I don't know. Sports books are probably going to win a lot of money this weekend. That's all I know. And they're probably going to win a lot of my money is all I know. All right, so I asked these gentlemen 2 questions before we go. I said, what Super Bowl 22-23 odds do you like early right now? This is for next year's Super Bowl, obviously. What ones do you like now? And then what's one team that you could see be the Bengals of next year? And Clarkson, I'll let you kick it off.
All right. For the Super Bowl 23 odds, I've got Titans plus 2,200. I told Ricky I had a joke for him before this started.
Okay.
Because I knew that would – it's on my notes app. It says just to piss Ricky off. No, for real though, Chargers plus 2,500 right now for Super Bowl 23 odds. Justin Herbert, I think, is just going to go off again next year. Pray they get healthy and, stay healthy. The curse of the Chargers, man, who knows? But plus 2,500, I like that a lot. And then a team to make a Bengals-type rise next year, the Bears cleared house. They got rid of Nagy. They got rid of Pace. They finally figured it out that Mitchell Trubisky was not the problem there. Justin Fields is an incredible quarterback. He's an incredible talent with his legs and his arm. I think he could have a Burrow-type sophomore season with the right coach, and I think they've got, the infrastructure in place now where they could actually make a move next year, especially if Aaron Rodgers decides to finally leave Green Bay and force his way out.
Yeah, it's crazy. When I was looking at the odds, like you look at the North and the South, they're both wide open divisions. If Rodgers leaves, especially, right? You know what I mean? Because then you're looking at Minnesota, Chicago, Detroit, and Green Bay. Like I wouldn't, maybe not Detroit. We'll just, no offense. The other 3 teams. But no, like they have the opportunity to really make some noise. And then Tampa Bay, New Orleans, Atlanta, Carolina, that's a toss-up as well with Brady gone. Obviously, depending on what the Bucs do down there, I think they can make some moves to really kind of still be good next year. But Stoney, what do you got for Super Bowl? And then, of course, what do you have the team that could make the Bengals like rise?
Super Bowl next year, I am going with the Titans, not just to piss Ricky off, but I think I love the way this team is built right now. They've got the coach of the year in Mike Vrabel. I don't think this team is going to go away anytime soon. They just wrapped up their 6th straight winning season. I like them a lot. And I looked at Numberfire and got them at plus 2,400. So I like the Chargers too, to Chris's point. Like I'm all in on the Chargers as well, but for the sake of being different, I'm gonna say the Titans here. As for the team that can make a Bengals-like run next year, you talk about the NFC North being wide open. Why not the Detroit Lions? Why not the Detroit Lions? As competitive as they were in 2021, a lot of one-possession games that could have flipped just as easily. They play for Dan Campbell. They like Dan Campbell. Even if they don't elect to get their quarterback of the future, I think people are sleeping on how good Jared Goff was down the stretch for Detroit. He seemed to really kind of kick it into another gear and get better. And I just feel like this team could kind of have that same sort of energy as why not us?
Yeah, for me personally, like looking at their team, I'm really ready to see their over-under for next year because I'm pretty sure I'm going to smash it if it sits around that 5 line. Yeah. I agree with you because down the stretch, he was really, really, really good. I mean, you're looking at 9 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions over the last, 5 games of the season. And you're right, they played. They showed up and played for him. He did have a quiet, good season, 14 games, 19 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Goff's not a bad quarterback. He just isn't the guy. He just wasn't Stafford, right? You know what I mean? He's not as good as Stafford, and he's not going to – well, Stafford really didn't win the big game prior to going to the Rams, but he never had a team that liked the Rams to kind of sit there for him. Looking at it, I'm the Titans. That's just godly. And the coach of the year shouldn't have won coach of the year. But the guy, I would say a couple of different ones that I really like for next year. I don't hate the Colts at plus 2,500. I think that's a decent. They were on the cusp.
You're talking trash about Ryan Tannehill, and then you're going to go out and throw out some Wentz-led team.
Carson Wentz is a better quarterback, so it doesn't matter. So my biggest problem. This is my thing. Okay, if the Colts don't do something this year, I'm firing Frank Reich. Okay, I think his play calling is terrible. Like his play calling has been terrible. I think he single-handedly cost that team a couple different games. And I think, was it the Titans' first game that they played that they should have beaten the Titans where they came back and won? I think it was. Was it that close?
It was the second one. It was the second one that they it went to overtime and then Wentz throws the interception to Byard. No, the first game they elected to put Carson Wentz on the field with like 2 sprained ankles. Like he was doing everything short of actually using crutches to get onto the field, and then he just got beat up all day.
It kind of blew my mind. Another one that I really like is the Ravens plus 1,800. I think people forget that they were really good the first half of the season. And I also forget that they're going to get J.K. Dobbins back, who is a monster of a running back. They have a good team. They do well in the draft every single year. They're one of the best teams in the draft. I think Harbaugh is one of the better coaches in the NFL. I like that number. I really still can't believe the Broncos are at plus 1,800. I understand they're only there because everybody thinks that they might be they might get Rodgers. And I can't wait for when they don't get Rodgers, that number to like blow up to like plus 3,500 or some shit. The team that I like, man, this is hard because there's a lot of like decent teams last year that were just on the cusp. I don't hate the Dolphins next year. I know that's weird, but they were 9-8, but I don't think they can make the Bengals like run. I don't. The Jaguars are a team that I think that could be a lot better next year. They have cap space. They have an owner willing to spend money. They have an owner that wants to win. I like the Doug Peterson hire. He was a good coach in Philadelphia. It was just he wanted to commit to one guy. They wanted to commit another guy. So they said, see you later, buddy. And, I mean, let's not forget, 4 years ago he won a Super Bowl? Like, hello, guys, with Nick Foles. Like, hello, guys. You know, I understand he's Big Dick Nick and all, but, like, hello. I don't mind it at all. So, for me personally, I really like them to kind of make a flip-flop this year. I'm not going to say they're going to do a whole lot, but I could really see them winning a few more games than they did last year. So, I like it a lot. Any thoughts before we go? Anybody? No thoughts before we go. All right.
Go Bengals.
I'm thinking about chicken wings, Ricky.
I'm thinking about my buffalo chicken dip and mac and cheese. So,
Yeah,
and I'm thinking about putting the buffalo chicken dip on top of the mac and cheese.
Oh, now we're talking.
There you go.
We're gonna have terrible food hangovers tomorrow.
Yes,
I still think. Where do we stand on the Monday after the Super Bowl being a national holiday?
100%.
100%.
100%.
It probably should be. I wish they started this game at like 3:30 though. There's no reason it has to be at 6:30 Eastern.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 6:30 Eastern, because then you got to remember that this game is longer, like 5 hours compared to all the rest of the games. You know what I mean? Like, we're not all on the West Coast where the game ends at like 8 o'clock and everybody's partying. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. All right, Stoney, hit me with some plugs, man. Tell us where we can find you, where we can find the show, all that good stuff, man.
Yeah, I'm at Stoney Keeley on Twitter. Collectively, we're at Sobros Network on all major social media platforms, sobrosnetwork.com for all of my latest work. And hit up the Unofficial Titans podcast for our coverage of the Tennessee Titans, who I think Ricky hates on.
I don't hate on him. I just hate your quarterback.
Okay. I don't feel like I'm in a position to really defend Ryan Tannehill right now after that playoff performance. But I will say this: Ryan Tannehill has been really good, really efficient quarterback for the Tennessee Titans. I think they are capable of winning a Super Bowl with him. Just to state that clearly, I think they're capable of winning one with him as long as everything around him is perfect.
I was about to say, do they drug test over the Sobro network? Because I feel like they should after that comment.
No, we couldn't. We couldn't. They shut us down. There'd be nobody left to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really my thing is this. He got paid because of Derrick Henry. Like, that's it. Period. End of story. And if they should have went with Brady instead of investing $100 million into Tannehill. So with that being said, I love you, Stoney. We got to do this again. I had a lot of fun, man. Maybe in the NFL season, you'll see the three of our faces a lot more, throwing some money on, losing some money each and every week.
Why not?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
What's the purpose of money if not to spend it?
Exactly. You know what I mean? We're having a blast. We're going to have a good time. It is what it is. So you can find Clarkson online at Chris Clarkson 91. And you can find his weekly college basketball rankings over at the Music City Drive-In. He likes to throw out some number ones, and they like to lose shortly after. So it's exciting.
It's college basketball season's in full force. That's what I follow most closely. Being from Lexington, I try not to be biased towards the University of Kentucky Wildcats, but you may see them go up a couple of ranks this week. Had a lot of fun, Ricky. Appreciate you having me on, and let's do this some more. Let's lose some money.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Baseball season is right. No, it's not. Just kidding. It's not right around the corner. We had a successful baseball season last year.
Ricky, why would you bring baseball up?
I'm sorry. I don't know. Does anybody still watch that? Is it even still on? I'm just kidding. All right. With that being said, you can follow me at RickyVlair _. I had a very successful season in betting. If you follow me on BetStamp, which is a website where it tracks your bets, I went 81, 45, and 3 this year in the NFL. Somebody hired me because I'm pretty smart sometimes, and that's with only like 50% effort in my picks. So I won some money, but then I follow Chris Clarkson's college basketball picks and then lose them all. So with that being said, I'm kidding. I love Chris. Make sure to follow him on Twitter. We need to get his followers up. But thank you, Stoney. Thank you, Chris. Let's go, win some money. Let's really get that defensive touchdown by the Rams. So, yeah.
Absolutely.